the best bass lakes in the country, Lake Guntersville. Let's go. From the time Mitch got in the boat until he got out, we caught fish. No giants this trip, but the bite was incredible. We caught over 25 keepers in 2 days, anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5 pounds. We're gonna take you along to the spot, talk some technique, and most importantly, talk about live scope and how live scope was absolutely critical to us finding and catching these bass. Stay tuned, we've got an incredible trip coming up. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comments what you think of the video. You know, last year on the Guntersville trip, I caught my own personal best, an 835. You can find that video on my channel or check it out up in the cards. You know, COVID makes it so hard to plan our lives ahead, and you know, we just had a couple days, so. Anytime you go to Guntersville, you got to give the Booyah one knocker and Rayburn Red a shot. And that's what I did here, but I just really couldn't get anything going. Couldn't get a bite going, couldn't get one established. It was following up the big crankbait tourney from the previous weekend. Those fish were not into the Booyah one knocker and Rayburn Red this trip. In all the trips I've taken to Guntersville, I've never noticed the eelgrass to be as thick on top of the water as it was on this trip. It almost made the western side of the lake where the wind was blowing the grass difficult to fish.
Hands are frozen.
This is no more than being at the right place, at the right time, with the right lure, right presentation. You know, a lot of luck is involved in finding groups of fish like this. So there are a ton of bridges on Guntersville, and they can all be fished really a ton of different ways. One of the ways that I've caught fish before is either with a big swim bait around the bridges or an Alabama rig. You guys know how much I like the Alabama rig. Fish are constantly moving in. This place will just replenish all day long. You know, I think we fished it 5 different sessions, 2 to 3 hours, and we'd leave and we'd come back. And what we were doing is we'd let it just restock because those fish are constantly coming to this spot. You know, there's a little competition going on here. Best 5 each day and biggest bass.
Everyone I've caught been like right there.
And we were using live scope, and the way we were using live scope, when we pulled up, I saw a stump up on this one ridge where this old creek channel runs under this bridge. There's a ridge, there's a high spot there. And there's a stump, really a couple stumps the further back you trace that river channel. But when I pointed my live scope at that, I could see 5 or 6 bass. So immediately what I did was slow down my presentation, and that's the thing about live scope. It changes your cadence, and it makes you a better fisherman that way, because when you can see your lure, and you can see the Alabama rig here, it's huge. But you can see other lures that when you fish with your live scope. and I would retrieve that bait that stayed about 2-3 feet off the bottom. It was right above these fish. If you watch the screen here, you can clearly see the rig coming through the water and the 2 bass chasing it. Eventually one of these fish eats that bait. I noticed the same thing when I initially pulled up on the spot. I noticed the bass chase the rig right on this ledge, exactly like we're looking at here. So I'm pulling this bait across those fish and they just couldn't stand it. You notice we miss a lot of fish because they'll slap at it. It's a reaction bite. So we catch a ton of fish, probably 50 bass over 2 days. Bridges are no secret on Guntersville. A lot of big events have been won on these bridges over the years. And for that reason, they get a lot of pressure. There are a lot of boats in and around. You got your crappie fishermen in and under the bridge. You've got just a lot of pressure that comes from bass fishermen. This time of year, fish are continuously coming to you if you're fishing a spot in and around these bridges. There's just a ton of fish in this area at this time period. So we are throwing the Yumbrella Flash Mob Jr. You can pick those up over at lurenet.com. Also at Lurenet, use the code KENNER15 for 15% off your order when you check out. Now we're tipping this with the Kitech Easy Shiner Pro Blue Red Pearl as our color. And we're just using a belly weighted hook. Any belly weighted hook will work here. Later in the day, we switched over to the Yum Pulse. Probably a 4.5 pounder was our big fish each day. Crazy day in terms of catching numbers of quality bass. We threw a single swim bait, a big one, downsized it, threw a smaller single swim bait on an underspin, a Buckeye Sioux spin, and tried some other techniques that we thought would maybe draw a bigger bite, but none seemed to work. Hit me up in the comments. What could we have done differently? Both bags of fish weigh between 15.5, 16 pounds each day. The second day in Mitch's best 5 and my best 5, we had 28-30 in that bag of 10 fish. Just a crazy day in terms of catching numbers of quality bass.
Which one of these is smaller? Don't quit. Just boat flip out. Use a rock. Which one of these, Mitch? Well, they both got to go now.
You need the net on it?
know, we had to go through a lot of fish to catch quality, and this is a cull late in the day too, but just amazing the quality of fish that we're able to put in the boat over 48 hours. Easily one of my favorite Guntersville trips. Just can't wait to get back.
We're not behind you. We're not far behind you. No, we're done. We got hit home in the morning. Yeah. That's why we kind of stood on this spot today.
We'll put every single thing back of it. We're gonna take a cool picture. You know we've caught them here today.
Those fish are all well maintained, well taken care of in the live well. You know, as you can see, I use Rejuvenate, so the water's green. But those fish are all put back. They're caught and released at the end of the day. So, you know, no harm's done to these fish whatsoever. That's just the way we like to make it a sport amongst friends. Team Burchett or Team Kenner? Solid fish. Now, we can't talk about who won what contest or if there even was a contest. After all, I did have Mitch in my boat, and he is the luckiest human being I know. No matter where you go fish, could be the best bass lake in the country. It takes luck and it takes timing. On this trip, both of those met up, and it just led to an incredible trip, one that I'll never forget.
3 even. 4.5. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I do it.
It's 4.5.
You gotta calibrate that thing, man.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. Run it up. First it was the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again. Outside says the chirp, now the camera phone. Told you I'ma keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on? Why you acting different like your paper long? 8 day wake up and I thank God. Bad decision got you wishing you could say nah. My city gritty, you could get hit any day now. On my mama, I'ma move my family way out. With some 20s, 50s, 100s, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions.